Good morning.
Morning, Miss Mayor.
Morning.
What key are we in?
E flat major. Page 38.
Got it.
So we'll take it moderately easy and start with the 1 octave scale at the top of the page and then do the 2 octave scale. Starting with quarter note at 60. It looks pretty good for people. 3, 4. Change that for the eighth notes so I don't scare anybody too much the first week. Alright, so this is the 2 octave one. 2, 3, and 4. And Alright, so I want to take a couple minutes to just kind of think about what the hand spacing is on every string. Only I guess I've got the wrong cello out to do E string kinds of things today. But I could change that. I think this is important because there's lots and lots and lots of different choices on how to play the tunes. And so I want you to have a nice concept of what fingers are next to each other and what is the spacing, so that if you decide to do it in third position or if you decide to do it in second position, you've kind of got a mental framework before you're looking at it and deciding. So I'm going to do first position things. Violin players, that probably means you're not going to do your fourth finger, but you're welcome to kind of mentally do your fourth finger. And when I do C string, you can either start on any C that makes you happy, or just sit it out for the cellos and they'll do the same for you on the E string. So, in first position in this key, you would have C, you would have D, so that's a whole step, you would have E flat, and you would have F. And we'll go on, we don't have another finger. On the G string, you'd have G, A flat, so you've got a half step there, B flat, so there's another like a whole step between the two, and then C. And violin players, you would also have a D, you'd have one more finger. If you want to play that, that's fine. Next string over, we'd have D, E flat, F, so there's a whole step between those fingers, and then G. And violin players, if you're going to add that A flat, it'd be a half step. On the A string, you can't use your open A, so we will just start with B flat. So we got B flat, C, D, and people who have another finger would have that E flat. On the E string, we would start with F, whole step to G. This is one of the weird ones on the violin because you got to do an A flat, and not everybody expects it, and then you would have a whole step to your B flat. So if you're thinking about that and you change your first note, so if we go back to the C string and put the first note, the first finger where either your 2 would be, low 2 or high 2, so it's second position, and cellos it'll be lower, second, the whole way across. So you're on the C string, the first note we'll talk about is E flat. So as a cello player, if your 1 is on E flat, to get to F, it would be a whole step. To get to G, it would be a whole step. So E flat, F, G. Second position on the G string, starting on B flat. Then you'd have a whole step to get to C. D. That's another whole step. And then your E flat, for the people who have a fourth finger, would be a half step. Second position on, what string am I on? D string. Starting on F. It'd be a whole step to G, and then it would be a half step for A flat. So cellos 1, 3, 4 closed hand will work very nicely. Violins, you can do another whole step and get that B flat with a fourth finger, if you would so desire. So you get one more bonus note, pretty much. All right, on to the A string. We're starting on a C. D is still natural, so that's a whole step. Would be a whole step from there. Alright, so on the E string violins, we're starting on G. So you have G, A flat would be a half step, B flat would be a whole step, and then your fourth finger could do C. Alright, so we got one more position to think about. It's oddly hard to do. So starting on the C string, this will be third position. So for the cellos, be an F. So you got F as your first note. Whole step to G. So A flat. So those are your 3 notes. It'd be 1, 3, 4 closed hand. Starting on the G string, we'd have C. And then whole step to D, half step E flat, and violin players should have the F too. So for violins, C to D is a whole step, D to E flat is a half step, E flat to F is another whole step. You'll be thankful you did this. So moving over another string, on the D string, the first note would be a G. And then A flat is a half step. Then you'd have B flat, which is a whole step. And the violins would have B flat to C, which is another whole step. Next string over. So this is A string, the first finger's on a D. Next note would be E flat. That's a half step. F. And then G for the people who have one more finger. Let's see if I can do one more string here. So instead of it being your first finger on A, your first finger would be on A flat. So whether you think of it as low 1 from 3rd position or like upper 2nd on the violin. So we got A flat to B flat, which is a whole step. Next note would be a C. And then you would have D natural. Yeah, so you can think about that a little bit. So we're gonna go back into the tunes. So all of these tunes fit with October in the Year of Folk Tunes book. So they have kind of fall-related titles and themes. So we'll start with the March of the Scarecrows. And you can use the knowledge that you just hopefully put into your hand to decide kind of what position is going to be most convenient for some of those things. Violins, you've got a lot more low 4th finger options than the cellos do. So they will end up with a lot more shifting, I think. Although I will start with a nice, kind and generous quarter note. I'm playing the top part. You can join me there. You can pick a different part if it makes you happy. 3, 4. I will do the same part again. So you can choose also to do the same part, or you can do the opposite part, and then I'll switch. Same tempo, same part. 3, 4. So I'm gonna switch and play the lower part. I'm gonna give the 2 full measures of rest for anyone who wants to do the upper part still. So I'll say 3, 4, and then it'll be the beginning of the piece. 3, 4. 1, 2, 4. 1, 2, 3. So it's equally fair for anyone who's trying to practice it later. So pick your favorite part. I'm still playing the lower part. I'll give you 2 beats and then it'll be the beginning. 3, 4. Exactly. So, time permitting, one of the things you might want to do with this is play this as much as possible in first position, and then shift and play it as much as possible in second position, and then shift and play it as much as possible in third position. And then you can, after you've done that, kind of decide, you know, do I want to shift between different positions, or do I want to use it as an exercise to firm up, say, a position that's really, really fuzzy in this key. So it's nice the way it goes across the strings that way. Looks like we can take a look at Pumpkin Roll. I'm going to make the dotted quarter note be what we've just been playing. I think that'll be pretty safe. So our click is now a dotted quarter note, so we don't have to listen to it click too much. After you've gone into it some, if you want to add some slurs, that's fine with me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Forgot to say repeat when we went back, so I hope I didn't lose a bunch of people. Let's try it again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Good. So we'll give you a shot at that lower part if you'd like, or you can keep playing the top part and have a duet going on. It's up to you. So I was saying fairly rolly tempo. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. at the moment. So I will play lower part again. You can play it along with me. You can play the other parts. Another round of the pumpkin roll. Although maybe it's 4 servings of pumpkin roll. How entertaining. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Good job. All right, so if you're looking ahead into cider press, I mean, it's another 6/8 one. You want to be really, really careful about the rhythms, for example, in measure 3. Because often in 6/8 time you see the quarter note followed by the 8th, but I deliberately threw in some 8ths followed by quarters. So if you're not paying attention, that would be something you'd end up having to really, really rework. Pumpkin roll works really nicely if you want to slur it by the half measure, that every time you've got 3 counts in a bow. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, slur all 3. Or if you need to be working on slurred staccato, that would be a good one for that as well. You can put some separations in. So each of these you can use for whatever part of your playing you want to be improving right now. Whether it's a specific position, whether it's a specific bowing, whether it's, and what that is could change over time. But that'll give you something to be thinking about besides, oh, compared to Wildcat, this is really easy. Which might be how you're feeling right now. Of course, compared to Wildcat, a lot of things are really easy. So ideally next time we'll hit cider press and the last one's called Graveyard at Dusk, I think. Yeah, Graveyard at Dusk. That one is really nice with a mute. Not that I put that in the book. So if you have a mute, you may want to bring it just for entertainment purposes. Any questions? Now's your chance.
Thank you, Miriam.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Miriam. Have a good day, everybody.
Thanks. You too. Stay
going
dry.
I
Bye.
have mostly dry.
Mostly dry?
Mostly dry.
Can't say all dry, but you can say mostly dry. Well, I mean, you guys are in your house, so
True.
far eventually.